More often than not, we can be quick to blame someone else for the problems we face. Why can't they notice me more? Why can't they be less narrow-minded or listen to me when I speak? But are you putting in the same amount of effort on the table? If you can't mirror what you want to attract into your life, you're not going to keep it. If you do attract it, you're not going to keep it. Because sometimes we can get away with attracting some really good things because the outside looks so put together. But the outside is what attracts people. The inside is what keeps a relationship. Ooh, that's deep right there. Can you be just as attentive as your partner? The thing about relationships is you don't just learn how to love somebody. You can't be in a relationship with somebody and eventually they're going to learn how to love you. That doesn't happen like that. You can't tough it out with them and eventually they're going to get it. Because you can't teach a person how to love you if they don't know how to love. Get with them and now they got to learn how to love you. You need to know how to do that before I get with you. Can you be just as attentive as your partner? The thing about relationships is you don't just learn how to love someone, and it's also an experience that teaches you how to be a better person. So if you're in a relationship and that relationship isn't teaching you how to be a better person, that's the wrong relationship. That's not the one you're supposed to be in. And women can teach you how to be a better person. If your woman ain't teaching you how to be a better person, and you ain't teaching her how to be a better person, but if you're not in the right mindset, sometimes it's worth postponing and working on yourself first. Because if you're not in the right mind frame, you shouldn't be out there trying to be in relationships anyway. 5 signs you cannot handle a healthy relationship. Let me go back to this real quick one more time. Because a lot of times, man, we be sitting around saying, I need a good person in my life. I need a good person in my life. But are you a good person? 5 signs you cannot handle a healthy relationship. Number 1, you put yourself first before anybody else. That's cool when you by yourself, but when you're in a relationship, it's a relationship. It's healthy when you prioritize your health and your well-being. There is a difference between finding balance and just being downright selfish. Selfish lovers often suffer from feeling inadequate, which means people who are selfish in their relationships oftentimes don't feel like they're good enough. So when they show love to someone, even if it's just a little bit of love, check this out. So when they do show love to someone, even when it's just a little bit of love, they start to worry that it'll all be gone eventually. So once they start investing, even if they start acting right a little bit, they're going to pull right back. Because why am I doing that? Because they just going to leave me anyway. That's inadequate thinking. You're thinking about yourself in those terms. I'm not good enough to be in a relationship. You're not saying that to yourself. But subconsciously, that's how you feel. You're sabotaging your own relationship. They're going to leave me anyway. If you're thinking like that and you're in a relationship, you're supposed to be building something with somebody, they're going to leave me anyway. You see how that can be destructive? When they show love to someone, even if it's just a little, they start to worry that it'll all be gone eventually. Selfish lovers are deeply troubled because they aren't self-connected, which means they're not connected to themselves. It's helpful to focus your energy on hobbies. Take hobbies that make you feel more self-connected. So if you don't feel connected and you're one of those kind of people, you need to start trying to connect with yourself before you start getting in a relationship. Figuring out who you are. So these are some of the activities that help you feel more connected to yourself. Jogging or walking, because then you're able to think and clear your head. Yeah, jogging, walking, journaling, writing down stuff, and also meditating. 5 signs you cannot handle a healthy relationship. Number 2, you're prideful and you think you are always right. You put your pride before love. You put your pride before the other person. You're prideful and you think you are always right. It is important for both partners to feel heard and understood in a relationship. But factors such as pride can get in the way of that. At the end of the day, is it really worth being right if you're going to lose somebody you love? Is it worth really being right if you're going to lose that person in the end? Wouldn't it just be better to agree to disagree peacefully? Say, you know what? We just disagree. Let's leave that alone. Another reason why some people are commonly reluctant to apologize is because they fear the other person won't take responsibility for their part of the conflict. So that's part of that prideful part, because a lot of times we're no different than children. I ain't apologizing to her. She ain't apologized to me. But somebody in the relationship got to take the high road. I mean, somebody in the relationship gonna have to be the adult in the room. But when we sincerely apologize first, check out that sincerely part, because that's important. When we sincerely apologize first, it lets our partner know that we're not proud of what we did, and we will take better measures next time instead of repeating the same mistakes. In a healthy relationship, it is important not to emphasize on who was right or wrong, but rather focus on what the two of you can do to prevent any mishaps from occurring in the future. Focus on solutions instead of trying to focus on who was wrong and who was right. 5 signs you cannot handle a healthy relationship. Number 3, you always depend on your partner to make you happy. You be jumping through hoops all day trying to make somebody happy. Man, and some people can make it hard for you to make them happy if they know that you're willing to do it. People who are not ready for a relationship get anxious when they're away from their partner, or generally feel lost without them. This is a sign of codependency. Ask yourself if you really love your partner, or are you just emotionally dependent on them? Do you really love your partner, or are you just emotionally wrapped up in this situation? Because sometimes when you don't want to treat her right, and she keep asking you to treat her right, and you just keep refusing, it ain't like she ain't telling you what she wants you to do, but you just stay with her anyway, even though you know you're not making her happy. A lot of times it's because you just don't want nobody else hitting it. Am I right? You don't want her to end up going and finding somebody else and then finally being happy. So you're going to do just enough to keep her, but you ain't going to never change. Okay. Do you really love the person, or are you emotionally wrapped up into the person? Because if you love them, you would change for them. I'm not saying change you as a person, but if I'm always silent, and I've been silent for years, and I'm in this relationship with you, and you need me to express myself to you, because that's important to you, to know what's going on with me and to know that I'm all right, and I keep refusing to open up to you, then that's a problem. That's a problem. That don't mean you need to change. That means it's something that you do for whatever reason. Go to a therapist and figure out why you do it, but you're doing it for whatever reason. And if it's a wedge in between your relationship, you should be willing to remove the wedge. Love is about appreciation and not possession. All right, so codependency is often rooted in our unmet childhood needs. Codependency is often rooted in our unmet childhood needs, while treatment often involves going to therapy. A lot of times when you have this codependency thing about you, the only way you're going to get out of that is going to treatment. But the first thing is you got to recognize that you got it. Because you can be operating in that, but you don't even see it as a problem, because you don't know what you don't know. This is not something that you're going to talk yourself out of. This is not something that you're going to just get over. This is something you need therapy to get over. Love is about appreciation. I'm going back to the top. Love is about appreciation and not possession. Codependency comes from a lack of self-sufficiency. Since codependency is often rooted in our unmet childhood needs, while treatment often involves going to therapy, where you can get in touch with the feelings you've buried for years. Talking things out with a professional will ultimately help you get better. Once you confront those deep-rooted insecurities, it allows you to express them to your partner. That way, the two of you can create a plan that helps your relationship move forward. 5 signs you cannot handle a healthy relationship. Number 4, you expect people to read your mind. And don't nobody read your mind. And a lot of times when you think that people are supposed to read your mind, you be acting out passive aggressive. Poking your lip out because you're mad, because ain't nobody acknowledging that the fact that you're mad, because don't nobody know that you're mad because you ain't told nobody. Communication is an essential part of making relationships work. If you're passive aggressive and chose not to tell your partner what's upsetting you in fear of creating conflict, or to test if they care about you. Is it really fair to be mad at the other person when they don't even have a clue? Strengthen your communication skills. Avoid attaching blame when you make your I statements. I statements, when you're talking to somebody, is like, say if I got an issue with you. If I got an issue with you, I need to be using I statements. I don't like what you said yesterday. I don't like what you did. I didn't feel comfortable when you was doing this. I felt anxiety because of this. Those are all I statements. That's better than saying, hey, half the people in the building don't like you. Hey, Steve was saying that, you talk too much. You need to use I statements and speak for yourself. If you have a conflict with somebody, let them know how you feel. Don't drag other people into it to add weight to your argument. To strengthen your communication skills, avoid attaching blame when you make your I statements. Instead of saying, because a lot of times we attach blame when we're talking to our significant other, and that's what leads to them feeling bruised or hurt by our words, or they might feel like we're attacking them. So instead of saying, I'm upset because you never helped me with the bills, I'm upset because you never helped me with the bills. I'm exhausted. You see where I'm going? I'm exhausted and would appreciate it if you could help me with the bills. That way you can still let them know what you want without pointing fingers, which can often cause your partner to become defensive. 5 signs you cannot handle a healthy relationship. And the final one, number 5, you have commitment issues. We talked about that yesterday. You got commitment issues, you don't need to be trying to be in a relationship. Unless you hook up with somebody who wants the same thing that you want. Right? All right, so you have commitment issues. All right, so relationship anxiety doesn't mean you never want to establish a long-term connection. Relationship anxiety, which we talked about up here, commitment phobia. Relationship anxiety is when you have a fear of relationships. Relationship anxiety doesn't mean you never want to establish a long-term connection with someone, but your anxieties get in the way. These people, they want to have a long-term relationship, but their anxiety kicks in. That's when they start feeling they're getting a little too close. You starting to get in a little too good. Because oftentimes when we're cynical about relationships, we expect it to fail anyway. And we're not investing nothing in it. We're not committing to it. But here it is 2 months later, and they still hanging around. You're like, what the heck? I thought this was going to last maybe 2 weeks. Like, it's a month later? Like, they start getting nervous. Because you hadn't messed up yet. They predicting you would have messed up a long time ago. 4 months into it. Oh, they going to be nervous. Oh, they're starting to pull me in, especially if they talking about I love you when they get off the... You want to have a baby? Oh, yeah. Relationship anxiety doesn't mean you never want to establish a long-term connection with someone, but your anxieties get in the way. Many past events could have caused this, such as witnessing your parents' toxic relationship or divorce, or going through an unhealthy romantic relationship yourself. As a result, you might hesitate being vulnerable and scared that the other person will either leave or eventually disappoint you. How many of us see that all the time online? The way men talk about women. You already have a negative outlook towards women. You are not suitable to be in a relationship with a woman. If it's a woman and all you have is negativity because you was hurt in the past towards men, you're not suitable to be in a relationship with men. Because if you have that mentality and you go out there and you keep dealing with men, you're going to keep getting hurt. So the only person that's going to put up with that is somebody who is toxic. And I guarantee you, they're going to take you for a run for your money. Many past events could have caused this, such as witnessing your parents' toxic relationship or divorce, or going through an unhealthy romantic relationship. As a result, you might hesitate being vulnerable and scared that the other person will either leave or eventually disappoint you. If this is an ongoing issue, it is best to visit a therapist and get insight on how to manage this phobia while learning techniques that help you practice vulnerability. If you have commitment issues, you have a phobia. Because if there's a healthy person that wants to spend their time with you and be in your life, and then you freaking out about that, you ain't no different than a person who has a phobia against spiders. You don't want to be vulnerable. And the only way you can be in a healthy relationship is you got to be vulnerable. But you going to keep everything close to your chest while that person opens up like a flower to you? You both have to open up to each other, or it won't work.